Hi, so my name is Emma Nance. I'm from the US, from New York, and I studied English literature undergraduate at University of Edinburgh. And then last year I studied an LLM, so a Master's of Law in Medical Law and Ethics, also at the University of Edinburgh. When I went to honours, I was able to take this course called Medicine and Literature, which was comprised of half English literature students and half medical students as part of their intercalated year. And I had just had a really, really good time listening to other people's perspectives and the interdisciplinary aspect of it. And I was asking my tutor if there was any other program that she thought of, because I'd never done this interdisciplinary program before. And she recommended that I look into the medical law and ethics program at the LLM. And kind of, one thing led to another. And I ended up last September going on the medical ethics track, which was really exciting for me because I'd never really heard of it mentioned like this, and then just to really enjoy the bioethical discussions. And it is a field that benefits from as many people as possible kind of weighing in and giving their own justifications, and I've really enjoyed being part of it. So I knew that I didn't have a law background. I had an English literature background, and I thought everyone else would have a law background, but it didn't turn out to be that way. It was a lot more interdisciplinary. So I have friends on the course who did have a law background, but then others who had a nursing background or had a philosophy background, or had, funnily enough, there were two dentists on the course. So really just comprised of a lot of different people who were all interested in bioethics and asking and answering questions from different legal or social or ethical perspectives. And like those all ended up in very interesting conversations, like across the board. I think we also had some intercalated medic students as well. And so we were all able to kind of see what it was like, when people were making these decisions, or what it was like from a legal analysis, and all kind of centering around these questions. I'm currently in my 6th winter in Scotland, and I've had a lot of people say to me, like, why would you sign up for the extra time? But even I think during the summer and in the beginning of the pandemic, when we weren't allowed to go anywhere and we weren't allowed to travel, I still didn't feel that trapped in Edinburgh, because there were I've made a lot of choices to be here, and with friends in terms of living situations as well. But the second part is there's a lot of nature here where I could, go out to the meadows and take a walk if I needed to clear my head, or there's Arthur's Seat right there, or Portobello Beach, or Blackford Hills and Braid Hills. And I thought that was really special, just in the middle of a capital city, being able to walk around and, kind of think through an argument that I was trying to write for my dissertation. Dr. Dove sent a personal email to us as soon as I think Peter Matheson sent out the email that the school was closed, and he had sort of a great, like, don't worry, if you want to go home, we will support you, we'll email whoever's necessary, just as long as you're safe. And I've had a couple of other personal tutors reach out and say, it's a very difficult time, like, let us know if you need any adjustments. And I know that for at least this program as well, like, it did feel very personal, and saying, and I think there were only 14 people on the course, but it did feel like they cared where we were, and that they would be trying to support us. We went into quarantine around March, and it was a difficult time, because I had never thought of writing a dissertation just from my desk, as you can see from here. I always thought that I'd go into the library and just kind of work in the law school until all hours of the night. But actually having to, like, sit down and study, I really struggled with for a while, and just being sort of cooped up in one place. But then kind of getting back into a routine was very helpful for me. And I had Skype calls with my dissertation supervisor, which kind of helped put all of this time that I felt like I had to do my dissertation into more manageable chunks of, every couple of weeks having a deadline where I was writing more sources down, and writing and reading through a lot of my papers, and then able to kind of, like, finally narrow that down and down and down until I think it was September when I finally submitted my dissertation. But that process, it was during a very difficult time, in everyone's lives, during a pandemic. But I thought that the law school handled it very well. Actually, just in February, so right before everything, I found out that I was accepted to a Wellcome Trust funded PhD called One Health Models of Disease, Science, Ethics, and Society. And that's based in the Roslin Institute in Easter Bush, where they made Dolly the Sheep in the 90s. So, again, it was a little bit of a jump from English Lit to law and then to the lab. So, like in October, I started doing gene editing, which was fascinating for me, who hadn't been in a lab since my high school days of biology, to then be in the room with all of these scientists and people with STEM backgrounds and kind of figuring out how to swim in this. But it's been a really fantastic year so far. So that probably answers your question from earlier of what I'm doing in Edinburgh again for my 6th year.